From Columbia, Missouri to Columbia, South Carolina on a blistering hot day. One of the great entrances in all of college football underway as the Gamecocks hit their home turf. This is the 126th season opener here in Columbia for the Gamecocks, as this is SEC football presented by Allstate, taking on the Charleston Southern Buccaneers, two teams looking for their opening win of the 2019 campaign. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dave Neal. We'll hear from DJ Shockley along with Dawn Davenport in a matter of moments, but certainly it has been a strange week here in the state of South Carolina. First off, Charleston Southern, because of Hurricane Dorian, had to relocate to Charlotte all week. They've been commuting back and forth, so it's been kind of a weird week for them and also for South Carolina. They're coming off a very difficult loss in Charlotte last week to North Carolina. Not only did they lose that game, they also appeared to have lost their starting quarterback, Jake Bentley, who has started 33 of the last 34 games to a mid-foot injury that could possibly keep him out for the remainder of the season, which means they now turn to a true freshman quarterback from California to run this show. Ryan Hilinski will get his first start as a member of the South Carolina football team, and it has been a tragic yet energizing, emotional week for Ryan. This started last January when his older brother, Washington State quarterback Tyler Hilinski, was found dead in his apartment of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. An autopsy later revealed that he had stage 1 CTE. Then in December of 2018, Ryan decided that he was going to play football here in Columbia with the South Carolina Gamecocks, a huge get in the recruiting trail. Then in January of this year, his family decides to move from California to Columbia to be with Ryan. So he's been here for a while and worked his way as the number 2 quarterback behind Jake Bentley, and now with the injury to Jake, he becomes the number 1 guy, and certainly South Carolina fans hope he can lead them to the finish line here in 2019. And DJ Shockley, former quarterback at the University of Georgia, you know what this young man's going through, a youngster getting his first start in the SEC. Talk to me why South Carolina's going with him and what do you expect?
Well, Dave, getting prepared for this ballgame, I went back and watched some things he did in the spring, and I thought what he did in the spring shows you exactly what he's about and what he's capable of in this conference and in this league. And you talk about some of the special things that he can do. Number 1, the guy has an arm. He can throw it. He can make every throw on his football field. The arm strength is there. He's going to put some of that out on tape today, and you're going to see exactly why they love him. Second, his pocket presence. He can move inside the pocket for a true freshman really well, moves around, understands where the football should be, and then now the quick release. Being able to get rid of the football. In this fast, up-tempo offense, being able to get rid of the football is most important. He has that. Those three things I think matter today, and we'll see what happens when he gets going.
Obviously, great size, 6'3", 230 pounds. Coaches say he is ready to go, but as we talked about, this is certainly an emotional day. This is a deep, deep story for the Hilinskis. For more on that, let's go down to Dawn Davenport.
Yeah, Dave, it's become a tradition for Kim and Mark Hilinski to write pregame notes to their 3 sons. This all started about 10 years ago with their oldest son, Kelly, and it continues today. I talked to Mark this week. He told me they went and pulled and reread that pregame note that they wrote to Tyler before his first collegiate start. Now, the note today to Ryan was similar in nature, but it instead ended with this: Ty will be on the field with you, your angel on your right shoulder. I love you, Big Rye. You've always been my hero. Signed, Mom. Certainly an emotional day for the Hilinski family, Dave and DJ.
Yes, it has been a difficult week. They've had to talk a lot about this story and how it's unfolded over the last 18-plus months. There's his father, Mark. His mother, Kim, likes to move around. She is here. We saw her earlier. It is a hot day here, but their focus will be certainly on their son and how he plays. And he comes here with high expectations, a really highly touted recruit, a great get for South Carolina, and it looks like he'll have an opportunity to get the football first as Charleston Southern wins the toss. They defer, so the Gamecocks will get the football. Nathaniel Toole will kick it off for the Buccaneers. It's a short pooch kick. And South Carolina will have it at the 30-yard line. So here comes Ryan Hilinski, 6'3", 230 pounds. Wears number 3 to honor his brother Tyler. Was a 4-star recruit coming out. Second highest rated quarterback, pocket passer in the country coming out of high school. Threw for over 8,000 yards and 85 touchdowns. So obviously the skill set is there.
It's there, and it's a reason why he won the backup job as well. South Carolina's excited to see what this kid can do. He's getting a chance to show the entire country what he's about early.
Markway, the tight end, goes in motion. They will throw it to the wide side of the field, and the pass is caught by Brian Edwards, who started the game last week with 1 reception and finished the game with 1 reception. Coach is telling us yesterday in our meetings, this guy has got to be more involved and make plays.
When he's involved in his offense, it moves. And quite frankly, he's considered one of the top receivers in the country. He's got to continue to play like that with a young guy at quarterback.
Senior out of Conway, South Carolina. They'll swing it out. The pass is caught by Rico Dowdle making the reception. He'll pick up 5 yards, and this is similar to what we saw in the spring games. A lot of short passes. He completed 8 straight to start that spring game.
And we talked to offensive coordinator Brian McClendon. Give him a lot of credit early, already getting some of the playmakers involved in his offense, getting his quarterback comfortable off the bat.
They'll go handoff to Rico Dowdle, the senior out of Asheville, North Carolina. He gets tripped up, picks up 4. Edward King making the play defensively for the Buccaneers, who are coming off a loss to Furman in their opener, 46-13. First time these two teams have met on the gridiron. Only about an hour or so away from each other. As the ball sits on the 49. It'll be 2nd down and 5 for South Carolina, who got off to such a great start last week in Charlotte, but couldn't hold on to a 20-9 lead in the 4th quarter. Helinski underneath route, caught by Shi Smith, and that'll be a 1st down, a pickup of 9.
And we talked about some of the things he does well. Watch how he moves inside the pocket here. Eyes continue to stay downhill, never really gets out of whack with his feet, and delivers the football to make an easy completion. These are things you want to see out of a young quarterback early.
Well, he has started 3 out of 3 for 23 yards on his first drive as a collegiate quarterback. Little reverse. Shi Smith tripped up inside the 40. He'll pick up 5. Nice play defensively by Chandre Mims. Redshirt sophomore out of Vanceboro, North Carolina, making the play for the Buccaneers. Will Muschamp saying yesterday that our best players got to be our best players. They got to go make plays. Shi Smith, one of those guys he talked about. Quick throw underneath, pass caught. That'll be good enough for a 1st down. That'll go to Ortre Smith. And there, Jake Bentley, who has that mid-foot injury. They call it the Liz Franck injury. Went to Green Bay yesterday and getting another opinion is Rico Dowdle down to the 15-yard line. No word yet on whether or not surgery is imminent. They think they were leaning that way. They'll have more on that tomorrow. If it is surgery, he's done for the year. Big hole off the right side. Rico Dowdle inside the 5. Mims making the stop. He picks up 12.
And Dave, how much a credit is that for Helinski to have a guy like Jake Bentley on his side, still around? He was there all week. He was in meetings. To have him around to help Helinski throughout a ball game, give him some tips and notes. It's invaluable to have a guy like him who's played so many games, like you mentioned, to start off 33 games.
It's 1st and goal inside the 5. They'll stick with Dowdle. He scoots into the end zone from 3 yards away. A nice little 70-yard drive to start things off for the South Carolina Gamecocks, and the Ryan Helinski era is underway.
That's exactly how you draw up a first drive. If you want to talk about going right down the field, a little mix of run and pass, and you're talking about some of the guys having to make plays on the outside. We saw Shi Smith. We saw Brian Edwards, Rico Dowdle. All the key players around Ryan Helinski made plays and ultimately ended up in a fantastic drive for South Carolina to start.
Parker White's point after is up and good. Ryan Helinski with an outstanding drive. 4 out of 4, 35 yards. Carolina leads by 7. Now, as the first drive is out of the way, and it was a perfect first drive. Jake Bentley there talking to him, the injured starting quarterback. And, boy, it was pretty impressive for the youngster.
Yeah, it's pretty much everything we talked about. You saw the quick release. The ball's out of his hands quick enough to give his receivers an opportunity. Movement in the pocket. There's the arm sweep, going backwards, letting it go, and the quick release. Getting it out, allowing his guys to make some plays, and then the run game finishing it off. Ideal drive if you're South Carolina and Ryan Holinsky to start this ball game.
It was 9 plays, 70 yards, capped off by that 3-yard touchdown run from Rico Dowdle. That kick will sail into the end zone. Will Tommy with the kickoff duties for the Gamecocks, and now it's an opportunity to look at this Charleston Southern offense as they have gone back and changed things up offensively. They were a run-heavy offense, and now under their first-year head coach Autry Denson, they are air raid with an attitude. That's what he likes to call it. Jack Chambers, the redshirt sophomore out of Lilburn, Georgia, Parkview High School.
Offside on the kicking team, number 34. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the succeeding spot. First down.
So there is number 8, 5'10", 175 pounds. Decent start last week, 18 out of 25, just shy of 200 yards in that loss to Furman. But in watching tape of him, it looks like he is capable of running this offense.
He is, and he loves it. He played in the spread in high school. We talked about some of the things they had to overcome all week. Had a chance to see him watch practice Thursday. He can sling it with the best of them.
Little shoulder fake, nowhere to go, and Chambers quickly dropped to the turf. Javon Kinlaw with the opening sack of the game, the big fella.
And the reason why this sack wasn't able to happen, watch this safety right here. They want to go screen and go here to start the ball game, but the safety does a great job of getting over the top, not allowing him to hit the seam down the outside, and then big Kinlaw coming in for the sack.
Inside handoff goes to Ronnie Harris. TJ Brunson making that stop. This is a team that certainly this week, you read the articles and you hear what you hear during the week about teams' attitude. We got here, and you could tell that there was a different kind of feel around here. This was a business week, despite the fact you got an FCS team here.
They definitely felt like they gave one away last week versus North Carolina. They wanted to come out and put a better product on the field today, and so far they've done it on both sides of the ball.
3rd down and long, 3rd and 15. Jeffrey Wall goes in motion back and forth. They'll swing it near side to Ronnie Harris. Nowhere to go, and the defense with a good stop on their opening possession. A loss of a yard. And now the Buccaneers will punt it away.
It's a great job of rallying into the football. 3rd and long, playing coverage on the back end. You want them to drop it down, and you come up and make tackles, and that's a big part of what they did not do last week was missed tackles. So today is a big day for them to be able to tackle, and good job of getting off the field with a quick 3 and out.
Kyle Reichard will punt it away for Charleston Southern. Finished 2nd last year in the Big South in punting. This is a short one that will sail out of bounds around midfield. We'll see where they spot this, but it'll be a short field for South Carolina. Will Muschamp, now in his 4th season as the head coach, 22-18 overall, his 8th year as a head football coach. Of course, started down at the University of Florida. But he was all business. Speaking of a guy that wants to get this thing fixed and fixed in a hurry, it was Will Muschamp. As Ryan Holinsky's back on the field, and for more on how that opening drive went, let's go down to Dawn.
Guys, it's really neat to watch this Bentley-Holinsky interaction on the sideline. One of the first people Ryan came over to after that drive was Jake. He immediately asked him, did that guy bail? Jake said yes. Holinsky said, oh, I thought so. It's not really a coach-player kind of conversation. It's almost like 2 players just going through plays together. Really cool to see.
Pass is caught, Dawn, but then fumbled away. Pickup of 12 yards. Nick Muse, who was just activated, he's a transfer from William and Mary, and yesterday the NCAA finally cleared him. He's been practicing with the team, but this is his first play as a member of the Gamecocks. Makes a nice catch, but then coughs it up.
And you usually see that happen when you're fighting for extra yards. He has 2-3 guys around him. He's trying to get one more extra yard, and the last guy comes in and dislodges the football from him. And you can see that's just an untimely turnover that you did not need, especially having great field position there after the short punt.
So now Charleston Southern gets a break. They'll start this drive at the 40. Chambers coming near side. Pass is bobbled by Wilson, and he is walloped on the sidelines.
This is kind of what we're probably going to see a lot from Charleston Southern today. Short, quick throws, trying to get the ball out of the hands of Jack Chambers because of the rush by South Carolina, and hoping they can make one guy miss and try to get some positive yards.
Pressure comes. Chambers gets it away. They will get it to Wilson. He's looking for a block or two. Gets it to 45-yard line. R.J. Roderick runs him out of bounds, but a gain of 5. Boy, last week defensively they had some opportunities to close that game out, but when the coaches went back and looked at the film, they discovered 18 missed tackles by this team, 10 of those coming in the secondary.
You're talking about the last line of defense. Those guys have to do a better job of getting them to the ground. And what a big-time situation here on 3rd and 5 to be able to come up with a play. South Carolina's playing some press man on the outside. Look to see some quarterback run, quarterback draw in this type of set.
Chambers flushed out of that pocket. He will get it out over the 45 to the 46, but he'll be 4 yards shy of the line to gain. See what Autry Denson wants to do here. Looks like he's going to punt it away near midfield.
And that's something that Charleston Southern feared coming into this ball game, was when South Carolina got into press coverage, not able to get off the line of scrimmage. South Carolina has some big-time corners on the outside. No separation and force Jack Chambers to get outside, unable to pick up the first down.
Reichard will punt it away. Boy, tight spiral, booming kick. Brian Edwards will let it hit inside the 5, and it just does trickle into the end zone. So South Carolina will have their 3rd possession of the afternoon. When we come back, they lead it 7-0 here in the first quarter. Back in Columbia, where South Carolina trying to pick up their first win of 2019, and it has been a long week for the Gamecocks. Will Muschamp not very happy after that last game in Charlotte?
You know what? We're pissed off too. As coaches, as staffs, we're in a little bit of a bunker mentality. I don't read your articles and podcasts or whatever you do. So at the end of the day, it's about what do we need to do to win? And let's try and rally to win games. And that's what we're going to do as a staff, and that's what we're going to do as a team, and what we're going to do as an organization. So help us win games.
That's been the mentality. That was the message yesterday with us. They made some changes up front on the offensive line, try to solidify that spot. And now you're working with a true freshman quarterback who completes another pass. This one goes to the carry-on Joyner, an electrifying talent, the redshirt, who has now been moved to the backup. He was competing for the backup role until Holinsky won it, but now he is back in the backup role, working both as receiver and quarterback in practice. That has got to be an interesting dynamic. And Feaster makes that catch. He'll pick up 2, but boy, it's got to be tough for Joyner. Even though he was here a year ago, boy, they're asking a lot of that youngster.
Yeah, he's put in multiple spots to make plays, but he's a key playmaker, and they got to get him on the field.
Pass is caught to Kyle Markway, the tight end. But Joyner's one of those guys. We're watching tape of him yesterday, and he is, I mean, you can see why coaches say we got to have him on the field. He's got the it factor.
He does. And wait till he gets to play some quarterback today. He can throw it just as good as he can catch and run.
Nice catch on the outside. Feaster breaking a couple of tackles. He'll pick up 14 yards. Feaster last week, 13 carries, 72 yards on the ground.
This is what you want. Get the ball in space to some of your playmakers. Feaster is a guy you know. You've seen him over the years at Clemson. Get him the ball anywhere in space, and he can make some guys miss, and he made 2 or 3 guys miss on that particular run to pick up positive yards.
How about Ryan Holinsky's start to this one? 9 out of 9 for 82 yards. Stay on the ground this time. Good run by Rico Dowdle, who's inside the 10. Flag comes in late, says there's a face mask. 36-yard pickup.
Watch, they bring a corner cat off the edge. And they end up still getting it. They bring a run blitz into it, but the speed of South Carolina, the speed of Rico Dowdle to get through that hole and then finish the run as physical as he does, tacks on a couple more yards, but everything is working for South Carolina right now, the run game, pass game, and it's all starting with the freshman quarterback, Ryan Holinsky.
There was the face mask. It's half the distance to the goal line, which will place it inside the 5-yard line. 1st and goal, Gamecocks. Holinsky keeps it, falls forward. He's in for a touchdown.
When you want to build confidence, your quarterback does a great job of pulling it. From that angle, looks like he gets into the end zone. Let's see where the ball is, where his knee. Looks like his knee may have been down right there. That right knee is something they may have to take a look at. That's going to be very close. But the confidence that's built up already in just 3 drives for Ryan Holinsky is pretty remarkable, and he's doing a great job of distributing the football for one. And now you see the ability to run the football with his legs, and as you can see, good enough for the refs.
Another lengthy drive for South Carolina. Point after is up and through by Parker White. It is now 14-0. There is Mom in the middle of your screen in the black South Carolina hat and the sunglasses, enjoying what she just saw. Her son's first career touchdown as a member of the Gamecocks. Well, Autry Denson was some kind of college running back, over 4,300 career rushing yards with the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame from 95 to 98. Now it is in the first year at Charleston Southern as their head coach. Kind of a random hire. It kind of came out of nowhere. And Autry, of course, was coaching running backs at Notre Dame the last few years. Charleston Southern looking for a new head coach. As this one will be brought out by Wall, and he will get it to the 12-yard line. But interesting that Charleston Southern Athletic Director Jeff Barber is a former South Carolina employee. Worked here, actually was the executive director of the Gamecock Club for 10 years and is now the AD there at Charleston Southern. And guess what? He was here on campus at South Carolina when Lou Holtz was the coach of South Carolina. So there is the connection of dots in that regard. And so through a couple of random acquaintances, Autry Denson is now running the show at Charleston Southern.
Makes sense, and the fact that they were able to get here this week and use the facilities for South Carolina definitely helps.
Nice run, open field. Ronnie Harris pushed out of bounds across midfield, an explosive play, the first positive yards for Charleston Southern.
We just talked about the ability to not make tackles right there. There's a one missed tackle, and here's another one coming up there. Bad angle by the safety coming in, and they're going to make you miss when they get in open space. And these are the type of plays that Charleston Southern expects you to make in this ball game. Ronnie Harris, a very tough, hard, physical runner.
44-yard pickup. Chambers will keep it and lose some of those yards. He'll lose 3. Aaron Sterling making the play for the Gamecocks. So Autry coming in and changing the dynamic right away for Charleston Southern. They were a run-heavy football team. They averaged only 83 yards passing per game a season ago. They rushed it over 70% of the time, but now they're in the air raid with an attitude attack.
We say, what's the air raid with an attitude? You want to be downhill, you want to be aggressive, but also you want to put the ball up in the air and put some pressure on defenses.
Trying to set up a screen. Will it work? Wilson bounces around and gets it to the 41-yard line. For more, let's go down to Dawn.
You guys talking about that attitude. He brings that to his team. I asked his quarterback, Jack Chambers, if he ever talks about his personal accomplishments from his time at Notre Dame. He says, nope, but he will bring up the mentality that he brought to the game. He tells his team, no one would outwork me. No one would play harder than I would. That's what he's trying to instill in these guys.
Yeah, in the air raid, certainly he's developed a relationship with Hal Mummy, former head coach at a number of places, including Kentucky, and Mike Leach. They also run this same offense. On third down, here's Chambers. He will throw on the run, and no one is there. He just doesn't have a whole lot of time to do anything with the football, as Sterling got in there and put pressure on the quarterback.
And you see Sterling kind of limping off there as he coming off the field, but he's the reason why he wasn't able to get up the field, simply because Chambers was trying to get outside the pocket, but Sterling does a great job of pushing him further out and forcing an incomplete pass.
So Charleston Southern will take a timeout here on 4th down and 8. Back to Columbia after this. A scorching hot September day here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Charleston Southern looking at a 4th down and 8 last week against Furman. They were 0 for 1 on 4th down attempts. See what they want to do here as they are at the South Carolina 41-yard line.
And Dave, this is not surprising. I mean, when I talked to Archie Dents on Thursday, he talked about putting everything on the line for them, and they had nothing to lose. So it's a good chance for him to pick up some momentum possibly here, picking up a first down.
Chambers going up top. Some contact on the far side, and there is a flag. They were trying to hit Quinn Caballero down that sideline.
Pass interference on the defense, number 24. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Talked about all the man coverage on the outside. Here's the matchup at the top of the screen that ended up getting the pass interference at the top. It's nothing but a clear go route. He does a good job at the top of it, but you see the little hand biting a little bit. Maybe that's, I don't know about that, Dave. That's a tough call there. I didn't see much there. South Carolina wants to play that physicality on the edge, but for Charleston Southern, it's a first down.
Drive stays alive just outside the 25-yard line. They'll run left side with it. It goes to Ronnie Harris, who will pick up a couple of yards. Ronnie, 12 carries, 62 yards last week, the fifth-year senior.
Saw Ronnie break a little run, and this is something that kind of scares defensive coordinator Brandon Robinson because of what they can do, the multiple things they do at the line of scrimmage with so much what we call the eye candy. He said the discipline up front with their eyes is going to be most important. The first level, which is the D-line, the second level, they must coincide together.
Harris Robinson, the defensive coordinator, also coaches those defensive backs for South Carolina. Four-man rush. Chambers lofts it up in the air and throws it away, looking for Ronnie Harris.
Watch Devon Kinlaw right in the middle of your screen, number 3. Pushing up the pocket. He wants to throw the football, gets his hands up in the air, and forces Jack Chambers to pull the football down. Just a great individual effort by Kinlaw in the middle, who is a really, really dynamic player for South Carolina, one of the leaders on their defense.
Buccaneers 0 for 3 on third downs. They'll play fake and pass this a little bit too far out in front of Quavon Scott. And now it's fourth down again. This time, Autry Denson will bring out the field goal unit.
Any points here is a positive. You pick up the pass interference, gives you better field position. You have to pay it off here with some points.
Miller Braddock getting the kicking duties today. The junior out of Hartsville, South Carolina, will attempt a 41-yarder. It's really about the limit for him. They've had some kicking issues for the near hash. This one is on the way, and it is right through the uprights. I don't know that Miller Braddock was thinking he was going to get the kick today. And Charleston Southern is on the board, 14-3, 2:47 to go in the opening quarter. While we got a second, let's get it to the studio. An update with Peter Burns. Hey, Peter.
Thank you, Dave. Some more scoring around the conference. Vandy hasn't had a Big Ten win against anyone in that conference since 1947. How about Kalijah Lipscomb? Keyshawn Vaughn would punch it in. It is 7-all in West Lafayette against Purdue. And Kelly Bryant trying to redeem themselves after losing to Wyoming finds Albert Okwebunam, a.k.a. Albert O, for the touchdown. 10-0 Tigers.
I don't think anybody knows him as Okwebunam. It's Albert O.
Absolutely, but great job by PB right there getting the Okwebunam down. It's good to see the Southeastern Conference getting back on track. As we saw a couple teams go down last week. Missouri looking to come back from that loss to Wyoming last week.
South Carolina had a nice week. If there was some positives to take away from the loss to North Carolina, the return game with Brian Edwards and Shi Smith in the punt return game for Shi. They racked up some pretty good yards. Miller Braddock will kick it away for the Buccaneers. Another pooch kick. Gamecocks will have it out over the 30-yard line. Coming up at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. Week 2 of the college football season rolls on with number 2 Alabama hosting New Mexico State. Then it's Arkansas and Ole Miss from Oxford in our SEC Saturday night matchup. The SEC Network alternate channel will have the Eastern Michigan Kentucky nightcap. You can find the SEC Network alternate channel in your area by going to secnetwork.com. Alabama, 56-4 overall record since 2015. 17 straight home opener victories. I'm interested to see that Ole Miss Arkansas game. They have played some wild ones over the years. Yeah. Little play action for Helinski. Wide open on the far side of the field is Kyle Markway. That's a position that's certainly depleted.
We talked about some of the other attributes he has. Watch him standing here and deliver this football. You want to see toughness out of your quarterback? Under fire, still delivering the football accurately. Helinski is just showing a lot of different things here early in this ball game.
10 out of 10 to start. Make it 11 out of 11 as he hits Brian Edwards, who twists and turns, falls close to midfield. He'll get 9 on that reception.
And one thing that Charleston Southern plays a lot of, which is quarters coverage or cover 3, where they're playing off corners. And this fits perfectly for an offense like this that wants to get the football out of their hands quickly.
Another quick throw. This one is caught by Shi Smith. Picks up 2. Shi had 5 catches last week. The junior out of Union, South Carolina.
And now we see the change at quarterback. You see Helinski come out. The Carrion Joyner, who we were talking about earlier, Dave, now is in the quarterback position. And we saw him catch a pass earlier. Now he's in the quarterback position. It is not just a wildcat situation. He runs this offense just as Brian Helinski does.
The Carrion Joyner will keep it. Stays on his feet. Dancing around. Breaking some tackles. Number 7. All the way down to the 7-yard line. 41 yards.
You talk about a real-time, big athlete making plays. Dave, you talked about it. They got to find a way to get this guy on the field, and we saw in one particular play there his ability to change a ball game with his legs.
Joyner making some guys miss. We'll get it inside the 5, give him a yard when it's all said and done. Young man who redshirted last year. Coaches say he is a total team guy. He is bought in to whatever they want him to do.
And Dave, one interesting thing I just saw while watching the ball game, and I saw the run, I checked the sideline, one guy jumping around like crazy, Ryan Holinsky. They cheered for each other. The carry-on Joyner there, you see the numbers in high school. This is just not a guy who can run around and make some plays for you. Puts up tons of yards in the air.
He'll keep it. Big hole off the right side, and he will scamper into the end zone from 6 yards away. That is an impressive looking athlete.
Well, if you thought Ryan Holinsky did a great job in his first couple drives, and you see the first guy that's down there to meet him, add another dimension to this offense with the carry-on Jordan there. Walked in untouched, zone read action. Good job of kicking him out on the outside, and he walks into the end zone. Holinsky is hyped for his fellow QB. Give Jovan Gwynn, number 54, one of the other offensive linemen, a big go-to for that kick-out block.
Holinsky with his first career South Carolina rushing touchdown earlier in this game, and now the carry-on Joyner adds his first career rushing touchdown as a member of the Gamecocks. It is 21-3, South Carolina. Time to take a look at the smoothest play, brought to you by Velveeta, and you got to go back to that 40-plus yard run a moment ago from the carry-on Joyner.
One of the things that's going to make this offense even more special is having this threat of the carry-on Joyner in the backfield. He's not really trying to get out of bounds. He want to make guys miss. You see, he still has the gloves in his back of his pants there from catching the route as a receiver. And whenever you get a guy of his caliber near the goal line, he is a threat to run the football. What an impressive-looking quarterback there in the carry-on Jordan.
Joyner had never played wide receiver in his life until Saturday. He had a couple of receptions there. But now he's back running some offense as the quarterback. That'll sail through the end zone. So Jack Chambers trying to get this Charleston Southern offense up and rolling. Last week, just 13 points. Had 192 yards passing, had 185 yards on the ground. Not a bad start. Joyner, as you mentioned, ran a similar offense in high school, so making the transition from that option-based attack, not a real big transition for Chambers. And that'll be the final play of the first quarter from here in Columbia, where Ryan Holinsky making his first career start, the true freshman out of Orange, California. Good start for South Carolina. They lead at 21-3. .org/ESPN or call the Red Cross at 1-800-RED-CROSS to donate. Pass is incomplete. And certainly it affected the folks here in the state of South Carolina. There were evacuations ordered along the coast. Charleston Southern decided to pick up and leave town on Monday afternoon. Couldn't find any hotel rooms in the area around Columbia, so they went ahead and moved their operation to Charlotte, which is where they set up camp since Monday afternoon, and they would make the trek down here to Columbia every day to practice, eat some food, and certainly South Carolina opened up their facility. Will Muschamp and Ray Tanner more than happy to help out the Buccaneers this week. These guys haven't been home since Monday. Think about that for a while. That one's incomplete. And this is kind of what it's been like for Charleston Southern this week. Of course, the mandatory evacuation and the school shutdown occurred Sunday night. So Tuesday through Thursday, drive an hour and a half each way to practice and get some food and use the weight room and the facilities here. And then yesterday they were able to use the Carolina Panthers indoor facility. They also had dinner last night at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but they had to leave here at 6 o'clock in the morning, leave Charlotte at 6 a.m. to get here for this game. It has been a wild and crazy week, to say the least, for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, a lot has happened for them, and I think you lose sight of their student athletes as well. So these kids have to go to study hall. These guys still have to do their work and everything else. So it's been a long week for them for sure.
37-yard punt, but we're right back where the punt occurred is an injured South Carolina Gamecock player who was slow to get up. Well, as the South Carolina training staff attending to the injured player, get a look at this Charleston Southern team, and we talk about how difficult it is. I can't remember last time I had heard a team leave at 6 a.m. to go to a game. Dawn, kind of a crazy start for the day.
I think we all know nobody on this crew are big morning people, right? I don't know if we could handle that. I talked to Coach Denson about it, and a couple of the kids, some of them said they were up at 4:30 this morning for that 6 a.m. departure. Coach did tell me he let his kids sleep on the bus, and then once they got into Columbia, they went to a hotel. That's where they had their pregame meal and were able to stretch out and really get things going. But Coach Denson, all about positivity. He said, you know what, this is adversity. We've had it all week. This is actually what we need for development. So he's keeping it positive for his team.
Dawn, they're not obstacles, they're opportunities.
That's right. That's right.
He talked about it being
a lot of obstacles this week.
Yeah. He talked about it being a blessing in disguise for sure, that this is a young team. This is a team that had to build together. So to learn each other and have these opportunities to spend more time with each other was beneficial for them, he said.
It looks like that Shy Smith, by the way, down there injured. We couldn't get a number, but that is 13, Shy Smith. Well, they can't afford to lose him. He is a dynamic playmaker on the outside for them.
Especially with a young quarterback, you want to have him on the field. And right off the edge, you see coming off your left edge right there. Looks like he may have taken a little shot to the rib because he looked ginger coming off. But it looks like he's walking off and seems to be okay. You can hope he's all right.
Coach Muschamp with a little smile on his face. He said, jog it off, right?
Well, he knows how critical he's going to be for Ryan Helinski's progression. So hopefully he sits out a series and is able to come back and help his team.
So we'll keep track of Helinski's numbers right now. 12 out of 12 for 103 yards. Taking a shot down the field, trying to keep the streak alive, and it stops at number 12. Trying to hit Brian Edwards.
And these are the type of throws you want. They've been underneath for the majority of the ball game. But now you see the safety 27 come out of the middle of the field. It's wide open. You would love to see Ryan throw that football a little bit more across the field to get that completion.
They'll go back to Kyle Markway. By the way, the school record for consecutive completions, if you were wondering, was 20, set by South Carolina legend Connor Shaw.
Thought that was in jeopardy for a little bit.
12 out of 13, still pretty good.
Not bad at all.
Handoff to Rico Dowdle. He'll have the first down inside Buccaneer territory now. Justin McIntyre brings him down, gain of 3. So for South Carolina, they have amassed over 230 yards now. They've held Charleston Southern to 48. The carry-on Joyner can't hang on to that one as it's incomplete around the 30-yard line.
We've watched Ryan Holinsky play pretty solid football. Last couple of throws have kind of gotten away from him. That particular throw there, when you're rolling to the right as a quarterback, the number one important thing is to get your shoulders downhill. As he comes around, look at his shoulder. They're still towards the line of scrimmage, and he's drifting a little bit, which forces that ball to drift as well.
Feaster in at running back. They will hand it off to him, and he scoots his way inside the 45 down to the 43-yard line. 6-yard pickup. J.D. Sosby, their all-everything linebacker, making the stop there. He has 4 tackles today, does J.D., fifth-year senior out of Gainesville, Georgia.
And here comes pressure from Charleston Southern. Saw Ryan Holinsky looks to the sideline to get the call from offensive coordinator Brian McClendon to see if they switch it up. And
over the middle, pass is caught. Trey Smith with the first down around the 25-yard line, a 17-yard gain.
This is a nice job of Ryan Holinsky. They're going to bring the safety down to the other side, and he goes away from rotation. And this is a great job of reading that out and putting a nice, accurate football on his receiver for a nice catch and gain for a big third down conversion.
Trey Smith back in the lineup, didn't play last week, still coming off an injury, a knee injury from a year ago. A little razzle-dazzle. They'll get it to Edwards, turns the corner. Down to the 10-yard line. Tackled there. Another first down. McIntyre with the stop, but a pickup of 15.
And Dave, we talked about last week him only having 1 catch, 8 targets, but now we've seen the emphasis to get him the football. Reverses, quick passes. One of your main players has to touch the football multiple times to get him going, just like a quarterback does.
Good to see 13 back on the field. Shi Smith will line up in that slot formation. Left a moment ago. Was down on the turf after a punt return. They'll go to 89 though. Brian Edwards, touchdown on the quick slant from 10 yards away. And his first passing touchdown of his South Carolina career for Ryan Holinsky.
Talking about the arm strength, the speed, the offensive line block. Here's Brian Edwards down here. He's going to run nothing but a quick slant right in here. And watch the pace and the patience of him to come through and not. Just a great job of delivery and release by Ryan Holinsky, putting that ball right on him.
Point after is up and good. 17th career touchdown reception for Brian Edwards. The first for Ryan Holinsky. South Carolina's offense is clicking. They put up 28 on the board. Ryan Holinsky show here, and great start from Missouri. I know that was such a disappointing loss for them on the road at Wyoming, much like South Carolina going up to Charlotte and losing to North Carolina, especially when you had a 20-9 lead going into the fourth quarter. But this offense seems to be clicking today under the direction of their true freshman. Charleston Southern averaging just 3 yards per play. South Carolina averaging over 9 yards per play. Speaking of Missouri, there are a lot of folks out there thought that they could make some noise in the East this year. Had them predicted 3rd, but that loss kind of maybe tempered some of that enthusiasm. Meanwhile, Alabama expected to win the West. LSU with a huge test tonight. Texas A&M, same thing for them. Auburn had their test, early test, last week.
And the Big West implications, Ole Miss, Arkansas. See you later on tonight. I still like Missouri, Dave. I think they're going to overcome some things in that East.
Saw Christian Reed taking the snaps now for the Buccaneers. A wide receiver gets it to Terrence Wilson. They'll lose a couple of yards on that play. Reed, an all-purpose guy, and also played the quarterback position. Expected to see him a little bit in some situations. They do have a true freshman out of Acworth, Georgia, Ross Malmgren, who was listed as the number 2 quarterback on the depth chart.
And you see the 2 shell on the back end for South Carolina. They want to keep everything in front of them because of the ability to run by these quarterbacks.
Southpaw hums one in there. Pickup of about a yard or 2. South Carolina already hit with an injury today. For more on A.J. Turner, let's go down to Dawn.
Yeah, guys, a note on that Gamecock secondary. A.J. Turner walked to the locker room at the end of the first quarter, has not returned. He had a towel over that left wrist and arm. You know, he had just come back. The coaching staff was very excited to have a little depth there. A senior with some experience, some leadership, but he is still in the locker room right now.
Yeah, didn't play last week against North Carolina. Had a bad shoulder. Wonder if that is the reason he's out. We'll try to get more on that as this game unfolds. Pass is incomplete, and now it's 4th down coming up for the Buccaneers. They are 0 for 5 on 3rd downs this afternoon.
Dave, I don't know if you heard a little news going around. Antonio Brown released from the Oakland Raiders today.
I'm surprised, really, it took this long, to be honest with you.
I know. A lot of different controversy. Then a team that's coming here who I'm sure South Carolina fans know really well, Julio Jones, got a new contract. 3 years, $66 million, $64 million guaranteed.
Monopoly money.
It's a little bit less than what you make though, Dave, so.
If you only knew, my friend. Ryan Helinski off to a great start. 15 of 17. He's got the football when we come back. On that. Matter of fact, they form one of the highest temperate, deciduous forest canopies remaining in the world. Congaree River, of course, which flows through the state, just around the corner, right by the baseball stadium, not far from here.
Dave, you a big fan of fireflies?
I am. It's
a hobby of yours to go watch fireflies like that?
They all light up at the same time. Is that crazy?
That is pretty cool, though. I mean, look at that picture. Wow.
Last week, talking about the Ozark Mountains over in Arkansas. Now we get the Congaree National Forest.
Lighting people about the world.
Helinski letting the world know he is around, throwing dimes. Brian Edwards, 60 yards. Touchdown, Gamecocks.
You're not sure what this freshman quarterback can do. He's showing you today. He's talking. We've seen the arm strength. We've seen the composure. And this big-time playmaker there, Brian Edwards, coming up big for him. 2 big-time receptions here.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 89 on the offense. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. Result of the play is a touchdown.
So the point after from Parker White. So how about that? Helinski now today, 16 of 18 for 199, and he has certainly found number 89, their number 1 go-to receiver.
You get a little play action, suck the linebackers up, and you get one-on-one on the outside, and you allow Brian Edwards to just beat his man with pure speed on the outside post, and you see the reaction of Helinski and Edwards. You don't think it means a lot to him? That is pretty cool.
Getting the start today as Jake Bentley is out with that mid-foot injury and not sure if he'll be back this season or not. They say it's at least 6 to 8 weeks, so now it's Helinski's show for a while. And, of course, the schedule gets tougher and tougher. Alabama next up on this slate. Some say the toughest schedule in America. But let me ask you this as a quarterback. Will Muschamp talked to us yesterday about asking him what he's comfortable doing. Of course, I would think every quarterback thinks they can make every throw. How hard is it to be honest and upfront with your coach when they ask you questions like that?
That's the toughest part, is being honest, because you don't want to tell your coach or your offensive coordinator some things you struggle with, because then they may question themselves when they make those calls. But the fact that they were both honest with each other and said, this is what is going to make me most successful, is what's most important.
His mom and dad, Mark Kim, moving to Columbia, South Carolina to be with Ryan as he debuts for South Carolina. They have set up shop here in Columbia, and they have watched their son, who got off to a 12-for-12 start, continue his success, scored his first rushing touchdown. But if you had to say one thing, what has been most impressive from what you have seen from Ryan Hilinski today?
I would say the composure.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's got the God-given talent. He can throw it around the field everywhere, but he's been so composed inside the pocket, running this offense. They're getting in and out of the huddle. They're doing things that most freshmen may struggle with, but he's so composed within the pocket and getting his offense on the right track.
They'll hand it off to Ronnie Harris as Christian Reed stays in at quarterback. There is Mom on the right, Dad on the left with the towel over his head. It is a hot day here in Columbia. I mean, it's got to be over 100 in the stands on these metal bleachers, but Mom so far enjoying the show her son has put on. Stay on the ground with Harris. He gets a couple of yards. While we got a second, let's get an update. What's going on with the Commodores, Peter?
Thank you, Dave. Purdue hasn't had a whole lot of success against SEC teams, 2-6 all time, but Boilermakers find success there. Touchdown pass now. They're up 14-7. That game over on the Big Ten Network.
Thank you, Peter. Well, Missouri's having some luck at home. Andy having some troubles on the road. South Carolina with 35 first half points. Third down and long for the Buccaneers. That pass is picked off on the near sideline. R.J. Roderick with the interception for South Carolina. They will have it around the 45-yard line.
RJ does such a great job of just reading the eyes of the quarterback, never getting off that hash. He does a great job of coming off the edge. You can see him sitting right over that edge, makes the pick. South Carolina in prime territory to put up more points.
Gary, I am proud of you, my man. Making simple, smart cashback choices. With Quicksilver from Capital One, you're earning unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
This team is outrageous with its talent. Down the sideline, Jerry Jeudy, what an effort!
Welcome back to Columbia, South Carolina, where the Gamecocks have now put 35 points on the board in true freshman quarterback Ryan Hilinski's first start. Now, Ryan, you probably know the story, lost his brother a little over a year ago. When he found out that he was going to get the starting nod, he told his dad, Mark, this week, the one thing I want to do is pick up the phone to be able to call and talk to Tyler. Guys, just listening to him down here, Ryan Hilinski told Jake Bentley that that touchdown pass was for my brother, Tyler, because he liked big bombs.
Man, that is, you know, it's such a tough story to think about, to tell what that family's going through. It's obviously, it's anybody that's got siblings, you just can feel the pain. Parents, we both have kids. It's just the whole thing is just hard to digest.
It's definitely tough. I mean, Don telling the story gave me chill bumps. So you can definitely feel the emotion of what he's going through today and the emotion of what his entire family is going through.
Where's number 3 in honor of his brother Tyler? The 3 boys all played quarterback growing up. Dad also played some ball. They understand football, what it means to them. South Carolina has scored on their last 4 possessions, trying to make it 5 a little bit high, looking for Shi Smith. And Hilinski knew That one was 6 if he'd gotten it down a few inches.
They run double post right down the middle. He has a tight end if he wants it, but this is one that he definitely is going to go to sleep and think about. Had Shi Smith running right down the middle. And what's the reaction of his parents here, thinking he almost had another touchdown. You see Dad excited, but man, wishing his son had another touchdown under his belt.
2nd down and 10. Quick throw to the outside. Josh Vann makes the catch. No gain on the play. The sophomore out of Tucker, Georgia.
I think you got to give a lot of credit to this staff, this offensive staff, for putting together the game plan they have today for Ryan Hilinski and this offense. Not coming in, this true freshman quarterback, some veteran receivers around him, shuffled up the offensive line, and the game plan has pretty much worked to perfection.
Hilinski trying to hit Markway, but it's incomplete. So here comes the kicking unit. Like Parker White making his way onto the field as the ball sits just outside the 29-yard line. So a 46-yard attempt. Actually make it 47 where they're going to officially spot this for Parker White. Hit a 39-yarder last week against North Carolina. This has got plenty of leg. And he will split the uprights. 3 more on the board for the Gamecocks, who have now pushed their lead to 38-3 over Charleston Southern.
Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
It is 7 p.m.
We crushed Tech by 40. You should be out there.
What are we seeing so far in Columbia?
See 9 different receivers, 7 different ball carriers, a lot of guys involved offensively.
I'd like to see him keep running the football, too. They need to get better at that.
Back to David DJ.
Didn't realize it was gray suit day.
I know. I'm watching the same thing, and I'm like, Doring and Chiz, they got on the same suit. Did they talk about that? You think they talked about that?
Yes, I do. I do. Those 2 clowns, of course they did. Saturdays in the South is our 8-part documentary that chronicles the history of SEC football. Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Episode 2 will take you from the Great Depression through World War II and into the 1950s. You can only see Saturdays in the South right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. I've had a glimpse of some of the segments on that series. Unbelievable work. It is very entertaining if you're a college football fan. You don't have to be an SEC fan, just a college football fan. As Jack Chambers comes back into the game, his first pass. Nice deep throw to Cameron Brown, who makes the reception out at the 45-yard line. That's a 20-yard pickup for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, surprised we haven't heard his name or said his name more often this ball game. Cam Brown, 6'3", 220-pound, fifth-year senior, is their go-to playmaker on the outside. A nice ball by Chambers as well.
Hit as he throws, pass is caught. That one goes to Demetrius Jones. That'll be a pickup of 10. Pressure came from T.J. Brunson.
Sometimes when you don't feel the pressure on the backside, it's all for the better. He throws a nice zip in there. And you see him get up, a little pep in your step after a couple completions.
Third straight completion. This one goes to Jeffrey Wall. Wall had a career day last weekend against Furman. He had 70 catches, 80 yards. Wasn't enough, though, as the Paladins, ranked in the top 25 in the FCS poll, got off to a good start, knocking off Charleston Southern. Little shoulder fake, but nowhere to go. Chambers gets it away. That was almost picked off. And if it was, it could have been to the house.
Chambers did a good job of eluding the first defender. And one thing that I was always told as a quarterback, don't turn a bad play into a catastrophe. Throwing the ball late to the flat was almost a catastrophe for Jack Chambers. He got away with it because of the incompletion.
McQuamu was almost 70 yards the other way. Instead, it'll be 3rd down and 5 for the Buccaneers.
Press man coverage on the outside, trying to force him to throw this football quickly.
Pass is caught, good enough for a 1st down, but a shot that knocks the helmet off of the receiver, Demetrius Jones. John Dixon came in, and we'll see if that doesn't have some targeting aspect to it.
It's a nice job of using his body to catch this football first off.
Ooh.
And you see the hit come in late by Sherrod Green.
There are 2 fouls in the play. Holding number 65 on the offense. Personal foul, targeting number 44 on the defense. Those penalties all set. The previous play is under further review. All right, Alex, here we go.
John Dixon comes in late after the reception.
This review brought to you by Rainbow International Restoration. Whether it's water, mold, or fire damage, your first call to the 855.
So as they look at that review, let's go to former SEC referee Matt Austin, who was with us this year. And Matt, kind of talk us and walk us through this situation. What do we?
From the game. The 2 penalties will offset. Will replay 3rd down. Number 81, whose helmet came off, can stay in the game.
So Will Muschamp will watch
Sherrod Green there go off the field. And it's tough to see one of your players leave like this, a guy who is a contributor for this defense. And you think about what's coming up next week. They have a really critical game versus Alabama. Missing a guy like Sherrod Green is a very big deal.
big hit on the far side. A gain of 3.
Brings up 4th down. 4th and 2.
So now 4th down for the Buccaneers.
You see JT Ivey on your screen there, a guy they are happy to have back on this secondary. Down 38-3. But this is a good call to try to go for it.
Chambers. That pass is picked off. South Carolina with their 2nd interception. Israel McQuamu comes up with the pick for South Carolina.
Jack Chambers, he's going to want this football back. He never gives Cameron Brown a chance. He actually has a step on the defensive back, Israel, and he just throws it short. And he does a great job with his release, getting off the coverage. Look at it, he hasn't beat by 2 or 3 yards, and he throws it short and inside. The defensive back does a great job of getting back, but this could have been a bigger play for Charleston Southern if he throws that football out there.
South Carolina will have it inside their 15-yard line as Rico Dowdle comes in at running back. Ryan Helinski will hand it off to Rico, and he is tripped up around the 17. Give him 4 yards on the play. Rico today, 7 carries, 72 yards, averaging over 10 a pop. Meanwhile, Ryan Helinski, 7 out of 21 for 199 yards. Josh Vann near side, breaking a couple of tackles. He's out over the 25. That'll be good enough for the 1st down. Give him 10 yards on the little pitch and catch. Excuse me, Rico Dowdle on that catch.
Perimeter throws, in space, easy reads. And the best part about it is these are good decisions because a lot is going on at the line of scrimmage for him to either give it or throw it. He's reading the box count. It's a great job already by Helinski.
First down carry nets him 3 yards. This offensive line going through some changes this week for South Carolina. They moved Donnell Stanley back over to center, where he played last year. Jordan Rhodes moves up to guard. Javon Gwynn got the start at right guard. Just trying to get their best players out there. They said communication was a real big issue for them last week at North Carolina, and it felt like Stanley, who had played some center, played a lot of snaps, as a matter of fact, the last couple of years at center, could really help solidify that line in that regard.
And which is most important, having a guy who's played so much football for you, a senior, can really give your quarterback some assurances up front.
There's Feaster. He's close to the line to gain.
Wayne Jackson runs him out of bounds.
South Carolina has plenty of time here. A little over 2 minutes to go. They still have 3 timeouts. And you talk about situations of a ball game. You want to get your young quarterback in right before the half, possible 2-minute situation here. How does he handle that in game situations? You've done it in practice thousands of times, but there's something different about when you get in a ball game. And right now, he's passed all the tests. Here's another test for him here at the end of the half.
Straight handoff. First down, South Carolina. They will keep the drive alive. Kevin Harris comes in. His first carry is a successful one.
We haven't seen the sense of urgency just yet. There's plenty of time on the clock. Still want them to continue to make good decisions with the ball heading into halftime.
A big hole off the right side. They'll go with Rico Dowdle. Gain of 8. 95 seconds to go before halftime.
We've talked about it numerous times. Having a run game helps any quarterback, whether you're a freshman or a senior. Having multiple guys in the backfield who can tote it and get you 3-4 yards helps any offense and any quarterback.
Over the middle, pass is caught. That one goes to Brian Edwards, stays on his feet, gets some extra yardage out of it, down to the 24.5-yard line. And Brian Edwards been a big factor today offensively.
We've seen 4 or 5 different runs. You suck those linebackers up with the play action, and here's Brian Edwards right behind those linebackers sitting in the zone, and Helinski delivering an accurate ball, giving him a chance to run with it.
Helinski. Pass is caught. That one goes to Van, and he is inside the 10, close to the 5-yard line. That picks up 19 yards. So it'll be first and goal for South Carolina. 46 seconds to go before halftime. A little fade, a little too much on it. Brian Edwards, the intended target. We've seen here in the second quarter some more shots down the field with Helinski. Early on, first quarter, a lot of underneath type stuff, get him comfortable, and we've seen him kind of take some deep shots here, and obviously arm strength is not a problem for Mr. Helinski.
It is not. And number, the phrase you mentioned that was the best was confident.
Please reset the game clock to 40 seconds, 4-0.
Those underneath throws were the throws to get him comfortable, get him into rhythm, and then you start to throw the football down the field and give him a chance to pick up some big chunk plays.
Timeout taken by Charleston Southern with 40 seconds on the clock. And while we have a break in the action, let's throw it to Laura Rutledge and our friends over at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Academy Sports and Outdoors is making it even easier on you with in-store pickup. It's all new and basically means you go to academy.com, order whatever you need, and come get it in store. Get in, get out, get back to having fun with your family.
Thank you, Laura. South Carolina's offensive production has been quite impressive today. They have put up 443 yards of offense. They have held Charleston Southern to 87. Helinski 22 out of 27, 259, couple of TDs, no picks. He's also rushed for a touchdown today. We've seen the carry-on Joyner come in and take some snaps. He too has rushed for a touchdown out of that quarterback position. Brian Edwards, coaches said we need more out of our All-American type wide receiver, and he's brought it today with 5 for 127. Diving to the end zone is Rico Dowdle, and he is in for 6 more.
Had a chance to watch practice. This was a play they worked on all week, and here you see Rico Dowdle reaching for the pylon, and it looks like he gets that ball inside the pylon. Nice job of creating the leverage by your formation, and just a nice job of getting in the end zone and the extra effort to push this lead up to 44 points here in the first half.
Point after is no good. But the only thing that's gone wrong today for South Carolina, a missed extra point. So it's a 44-3 ball game. As we take a look at today's Capital One rewarding performance. And I tell you what, it's been fun watching Ryan Holinsky do what he does.
Coming to this ball game, we knew he had some unique tools, knew he had a strong arm, but he has completely impressed today with the way he's throwing the football around the field, the way he's made great decisions. And you knew this was going to be an emotional day for him, but he has played and really put on a show for these South Carolina fans. And I think they're going to be excited about the future, what the future holds for Ryan Holinsky in this offense.
You know, you talk about him getting his feet under him, his first collegiate start, playing high school ball a year ago, and the situation certainly is difficult for him. You know, he wanted the job, but he didn't want it with Jake Bentley getting hurt. But that's just part of football.
Right.
But the fact that you got Alabama sitting there next week, it's kind of a luxury to get him these kind of snaps before you see some real stuff out there.
Yeah, next week's going to be a different look for him. Different caliber of players definitely are going to be on the other side of the field. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be football. And he has to go out, and this week I thought he did a good job of being comfortable. Coach Muschamp showed it all week long, told us we got to make sure he's ready and do things that he's capable of doing. And going into next week, it's going to be a similar situation.
Well, the gauntlet begins next week. Alabama at Missouri, then Kentucky, then at Georgia, then Florida, then at Tennessee. Charleston Southern will just take this to the halftime locker room as South Carolina puts up 44 points here in the first half behind their true freshman quarterback, Ryan Holinsky, 22 of 27, 259 yards, a couple of touchdowns on a sweltering hot day here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, you can watch the live performance from the mighty sound of the Southeast on SEC Network Plus. Start streaming on the ESPN app. So Will Muschamp certainly has to be happy and pleased with what he saw from his quarterback. Has to be pleased with 44 points on the board. We'll find out about all that as he approaches Don Davenport to get his thoughts on his young quarterback. And let's go down to Don right now.
All right, thank you, Dave. Coach, you told us you had to do what Ryan was most comfortable with. He looked pretty comfortable in that first half. What impressed you the most?
Well, he did. I mean, I think he started 9 for 9. I thought we did a really good job of selecting some things to give him some easier completions, but he also threw the ball down the field as the half progressed. Extremely accurate with the ball, not a lot of pressure. So our offensive line obviously has done a nice job.
2 touchdown tosses to Brian Edwards. What did you see in that connection?
Well, we got to get Brian more involved. He only had 1 catch last week. We targeted him about 10 times, but we've got to find ways to get him the ball. He and Shi Smith and Rico and Tavian, we've got to get these guys the ball.
What can we expect to see at the quarterback position in the second half?
Well, they need snaps, so we got to play. We got to mix in with maybe some younger players, just continue to protect the quarterback, but they need snaps.
Thank you, Coach.
So it looks like we'll see some Ryan Holinsky in the second half here at Williams-Brice. A good first that has some weapons. You look at Dowdle and Feaster in the backfield, then you got guys like Edwards, Shi Smith out wide, and if you got a quarterback that can make some plays, you got something going. Hey, for more Let's go down to the sidelines, visit with Dawn.
Well, Dave, DJ, how many times did head coach Will Muschamp tell us that Ryan Hilinski is a mature freshman? When we talked to senior linebacker TJ Brunson, he told us he has the poise of someone who has been here a while. I watched a lot of Ryan Hilinski on the sideline in that first half, and I got to tell you, I am really impressed by that poise. His communication with all of his wide receivers, his communication with his tight ends, even walking down and talking to that offensive line about pressures. A lot of communication, a lot of poise. He looks nothing like a freshman. I've seen no hesitation out of him, just leadership.
Led him to 44 first half points, and now Charleston Southern running some offense to start the second half. Loss of a yard on the play. Ronnie Staley coming in there. Son of former South Carolina great Deuce Staley making a play.
On the other side of the ball. That's a little interesting. Usually guys play on the same side, but not really. We saw J.C. Horn earlier in the game. His dad, Joe Horn, receiver, cornerback.
Second down and 11. Chambers throws high, passes intended for Christian Reed. It is incomplete, so now it'll be third down and 11. This is where you get kind of in a tough situation if you're a Charleston Southern. You're trying to implement your new offense, the air raid with an attitude. Because in these situations, you don't complete passes. You're stopping the clock. You're making the game longer.
And that makes it harder on your quarterback and calling plays. It's even more difficult to get any kind of rhythm going offensively if you're not picking up yards on first and second down, leaving you in these long third down situations, and they were 0 for 8 in the first half on third down.
Chambers on the run, and he'll have enough for that first down, so a good third down call as Jack Chambers picks up the first down.
A nice job by number 2. Look at number 2, Ronnie Harris, get in there and get a block right here as he gets towards the end. Kind of gets in the way, but a nice job of getting the block to help his quarterback get their first down on third down today.
That pass is dropped. They're going to say incomplete, looking for Jeffrey Wall. You know, back to that situation they're in this offense is that you want to run some snaps, right? You got to get your guys used to this. This is only the second game into this offense where the last few years they have been more of an option-heavy, run-oriented offense. So the more snaps you get, obviously, the more tape you got to look at, the more you can break down. But it's one of those situations where you can be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah, and even playing against a team like South Carolina who plays really good defense and they play tough, you got to find some continuity and try to get some good things on tape that you can build on going into next week.
That ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage, and it's in the air and picked off by South Carolina. John Dixon with the interception. The true freshman steps in front of Demetrius Jones on that ball that was just wobbling because it was tipped. That'll be the third pick of the day for the Gamecocks.
And you look on this left edge right here, coming off the edge, pushing the pocket. You see it right there. Number 35, Daniel Fennell, does a good job of just getting into the face of Jack Chambers, forcing the air and throw, and going up to his highest point and making that interception is what every defensive back coach teaches their corners.
Hilinski will hand it off to Feaster. Pick up 7 yards. In the first half, it was mainly the Rico Dowdle show. 10 carries, 87 yards for Rico. See if they don't run Feaster a bit more here in the third quarter. Back-to-back runs, the transfer from Clemson. Interesting, you know, we had a conversation with Brian Edwards, the outstanding wide receiver, yesterday, and getting Feaster to come here as a graduate transfer certainly huge for South Carolina, but it was fun talking to Edwards, who's also a senior. You know, in high school, Edwards was a runner-up finalist for the South Carolina High School Mr. Football Award. The guy that won it that year
Who, Dave?
Tevye and Feaster.
And now they're teammates.
And we're talking to Edwards about it, and you're like, hey, man, have you given him, a little grief about that? He said, nah, it's no big deal. And then 2 minutes later in the conversation, he's like, I really wanted that award.
Yeah, I saw when he said it. Yeah. He had a little angst about it, and I think we pushed him just a little bit further, and he finally came out and admitted that, yeah, I wish I would have won that. But now they're teammates, and now they get to play for South Carolina and put up big points and try to leave this program better than when they came here.
It was funny, the look on his face. But he did give Feaster his props. He said he had a heck of a year, deserved to win it. I will say that. But you don't forget, do you?
No, you never forget. Especially with the numbers he put up and the type of things he did. He absolutely.
Mon Denson now, another senior in the backfield, getting some work on a 3rd down and 6. Pass is caught. Tight end Markway making the grab. That'll be a 1st down for the Gamecocks, a gain of 11.
And I'm still just really impressed with Polinsky as he hits Markway there, but going through progressions, getting that football out on time.
Nice run by Denson.
Now this is a really good drive because you talked about wanting to get Holinsky reps. We heard Coach talk about it at halftime. Coach Muschamp want to get all these guys more reps and more time. Your offensive line needs it just as much.
Nick Muse, the late addition to the South Carolina roster. They're going to say he got into the end zone, 13 yards out.
I'm not sure if he got in right here at the end. Watch the jump, and look at that ball. It's on the outside. Oh, Dave, I'm not so sure that ball got over. It's good effort. I think the contact takes him out of bounds. Ball's in that left hand.
Of course, our replay officials taking, as they always do, extra time on scoring plays. And they're going to look at this one. Boy, Nick Muse taking off from about the 4-yard line. Nick Muse, a transfer from William & Mary, just got cleared to play from the NCAA yesterday. Had 30 catches last year for William & Mary. So another look at this, and let's see if he does cross the goal line with the football as he leaps. And of course, our ESPN rules official now joining us, Matt Austin. And Matt, what are we looking for here in this situation?
Well, to score a touchdown, the ball carrier needs to get the ball across the goal line between the pylons. The pylon is considered out of bounds in the end zone and would be a touchdown if you touch the pylon. Other than that, you do not get the goal line extended unless you touch down in the bounds or touch the pylon. This appears that the ball crossed the sideline short of the goal line. So, as you mentioned, it is in his outside hand. This looks like it should be put a little bit short.
And we'll find out what the ruling is.
After further review, the runner was out of bounds at the 1-yard line. It will be 1st down at that spot.
Well, there you go.
Dave,
just on top of it.
Just let me go 1 for 1, baby. 1 for 1. I know you were 3 for 3 last week, right?
Let's just say I was hot.
Oh, that's great.
I love the effort, though, from Nick Muse. And you know he's excited to be out here playing SEC football with South Carolina. Didn't know what the situation was until yesterday. You know, it was frustrating for him not to be cleared last week against North Carolina. But from the 1-yard line, they will hand it off. Inside handoff goes to Kevin Harris from a yard away. And there is your touchdown.
again, Chandler Farrell, number 31, who was a converted center, coming in, getting an extra block there, leading. A nice job of paying this off, and just a wonderful drive for South Carolina, running the football and throwing it, capping it off with a big touchdown run there.
This point after up and good. So Ryan Holinsky leads him to 51 points. Will that be it for the youngster? We'll find out as this game moves along. 150 years. And there have been some outstanding players come through college football, and one of those right here in South Carolina, George Rogers, won the Heisman Trophy in 1980, rushed for over 1,800 yards, was the first selection by the Saints in the 1981 draft, ended up playing with Washington, picked up a Super Bowl ring, and honored today at halftime. What a career, what a great guy, just always smiling. You want to talk about a great ambassador for your school? Big George is the right guy. He'll shake your hand with a big old smile, ask you how you're doing.
I had a chance to play golf with George a couple times, and you're talking about some of the best fun I've ever had in my life. The laughs, the jokes, and of course, you know, he liked to rib a little bit about me playing for Georgia, but he is definitely a great individual and fun to be around.
Looks like he's hit a few tailgates. You were out there getting some tailgate stuff.
I did. I mean, great food at tailgates. I'm with George.
Well, we had some good food last night at the hotel now.
Yeah, my man Big Jim from Bare Knuckles Barbecue came through and blessed our crew. And I was surprised that my man next to me, Dave Neal, ate last night. I mean,
I gotta eat.
It sounds funny to people watching, but I've seen you, man. You don't eat much these days.
I had a little bit. He cooked for the Falcons offensive line yesterday in the day, drove over last night, cooked us up some ribs and chicken. Way to set that up. I'm trying to give you some props over there. Way to go.
I appreciate it.
About time you did something for this crew.
I know, right? Dead weight over here.
So let's see what happens here on third down. It has been a real issue today for Charleston Southern. They are just 1 out of 9. Their last third down conversion was basically on a little quarterback draw. See what they do here. Trying to pick up about 7.5 yards.
South Carolina's playing zone coverage, so has to be patient.
Big collision right in the middle of the field. Jeffrey Wall took a big hit from Brown, and ball came loose. It'll be fourth down.
These are the plays that linebackers just love. You see him drop into his zone and then just unload on the back out the backfield. Jamar Brown just, whew.
I got to tell you, the other thing I like, I love that play, the technique, the head to the side, head up.
Yep.
How many times have we seen in the past guys running head first, trying to put their helmet square in the chest? Still a big hit, but clean. Here's Van. He's tripped up. DJ, you got, even as a quarterback, you got like this kind of hit, right?
I don't know if I like it too much, but I've been hit like that before. Jamar Brown coming through with a big hit. South Carolina up 51-3.
Jake hurt last week on the final play of the game against North Carolina, but here's a young man that left high school early. Just avoided his senior season altogether to come here to South Carolina. Didn't know that he would end up being a starter in the middle of October of that freshman year. Got it against UMass. And it's 54 touchdowns, 19 wins. He has put up some substantial numbers, chasing down some career records here. Had a chance at 10,000 yards passing, which would be a South Carolina record, but injured against North Carolina on a really strange play. Here's Feaster again out of the backfield, breaking some tackles. Feaster down to the 41-yard line. But back to Bentley and that injury. DJ, this was just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, last play of the game here, trying to escape, and unfortunate he goes down at that moment trying to get that football. You see the left foot there. Looks like it just kind of gets caught up underneath that North Carolina defender as he's trying to tackle him.
That pass is picked off on the back end by Davion Montgomery. Flag comes out as Montgomery still running around, finally dropped around the 29-yard line. So the first interception of his South Carolina career from Ryan Holinsky.
After the interception, illegal block in the back, number 90 on the defense. Penalty is 10 yards from the end of the run. First down, Charleston Southern.
First career interception here happened. You see that pressure coming off his right side, and he's trying to get away from it, and then the ball gets away from him, and not a ball you want to force there. Sometimes you just have to eat it, and just a great job of Tavion Montgomery getting the pressure on him. Sometimes you got to eat those, Dave, and take the sack instead of throwing it into harm's way.
Davion Montgomery, the true freshman out of Maryland, picking off the true freshman out of Orange, California. Pass is caught. Nice little toe tap by Christian Reed. There is Jake Bentley. We didn't think we'd see him on the sidelines today. Thought with his injury that maybe not the safest place to be. Hard to move when you're on the scooter like that. But, you know, for Jake, there's still a lot of unknowns out there. For more, let's go down to Dawn.
This foot injury down for me in layman's terms. There is a ligament in your foot that's basically like your ACL in your knee. So your metatarsal bones, those are those long bones in your foot. They're connected by this ligament. The ligament that Jake injured is the one that keeps and holds those bones together right in the middle of your foot. So even walking, when you transfer weight from your heel to your big toe, it's extremely painful. Not all that common of an injury either. Clint has been here for 10 years, said he's probably only seen it 4 times. Now get this, even if it is partially torn, a lot of times surgery is needed. They go in, they put several screws to keep those bones together while the ligament heals. It's a brutal recovery, boys. We're talking 3 to 5 months, and that includes 6 to 12 weeks of no weight on that foot. It is a painful injury.
And of course, he went to Green Bay just the last couple of days to visit with another specialist to get a second, third opinion to determine whether or not he will need or wants to go through that surgery. And I think we'll learn more about the direction of Jake's path tomorrow.
Yeah, it's important too. I mean, you're thinking about a guy who's a senior. He wants to finish his senior year out in the right way, but unfortunately, if that injury keeps him out, you said it earlier, this may be the end of his career here.
Down the middle, nobody there. It's incomplete. Bentley a year ago with 27 touchdowns, over 3,000 yards passing. Tell you what, though, you know how much he wanted to get back. It's a tough loss, but he missed some throws last week, right? That could have been a difference in that game. So as a competitor, you're thinking, I want to get back, I got to make amends.
Oh, absolutely.
And now you can't.
You have those opportunities to possibly win a ball game, and you've been here, done that. Charleston Southern gets a big completion and run down their left sideline by Ronnie Harris. But Bentley is a kid that has played in some massive games for South Carolina, won some big ones, and last week was a big game for him. And like you mentioned, they left some opportunities on the field to finish that ball game off, and now you don't have the opportunity to go back as a quarterback and a competitor. The best thing you want or can do is get back out next week and play again.
That's got to be the tough thing about football. In basketball or baseball, you can get back out there relatively quickly. In football, you got to sit there and just chew on that for a week.
And sometimes the opportunities are very small. And you talk about playing 12 games in this season. In basketball, you got tons of games. You just never know when that last game will be.
Not to mention coming off that 28-0 loss in the bowl game to Virginia, so they had all offseason to get that taste out of their mouth. And you lose to North Carolina. Now you got to wait another week. That's incomplete. It'll be third down coming up, looking for Christian Reed. And Joyner looks like he might take some more snaps. Carry-on, who's played mostly at wide receiver today, but had a drive at quarterback, took him to the end zone.
And Dave, I think the interesting dynamic about the Carry-on Joyner playing is he's the next guy up. He's one play away from being where Ryan Helinski is now, and he's playing multiple positions. Usually you do not see that, your backup quarterback playing multiple positions, because you may need him to play quarterback, but he's such a great athlete, such a great talent. They have to find ways to get him on the field.
The pass is caught out of the backfield by Wilson. He's still on his feet, and he is out of bounds after picking up a first down. They'll push him out of bounds around the 23-yard line, give him 20 yards on that play.
The throw behind actually was a bad throw, but actually helped out the running back because the defender overran it. And just a great job of cutting back against the grain and picking up even more yards after the catch was Terrence Wilson.
Wide open is Jeffrey Wall. He'll take it close to the first down line, give him 11, and they'll move the chains again. Jamie Robinson, the true freshman, in on that tackle.
Seeing a lot of the second or third team guys in for South Carolina, and you mentioned it, Dave, these are good reps for Charleston Southern to get in. This is still a new offense for them. They worked through it in spring and fall, but nothing like game time action to get these guys ready for the season.
First red zone possession of the game for Charleston Southern as Wilson takes a straight ahead dive play.
And as you get closer to the red zone, you're going to see South Carolina on the outside. Look at the corners. They start to move up just a little bit more, playing a little bit more tighter coverage than they were out in the field. They want to try to get their hands on these receivers and disrupt the timing for Charleston Southern.
Wide open in the end zone. They cannot convert. The true freshman Isaac Ross was wide open in the back of the end zone and couldn't hang on.
Talking about wanting some throws back. These are the throws. I've had one of these before. These are the ones you see while you're laying in the bed. All the great throws that you make in a ball game and you just overthrew them. Nobody within 10 yards of him is unable to come down with it. Isaac Ross, he doesn't have that good of a vertical to go up and get that football.
Inside handoff going to Ronnie Harris. He'll spin his way inside the 10, give him 5 yards. Zindo Lewis on the tackle for South Carolina.
A lot of people may be questioning why you run the football there, but knowing you're down 51-3, knowing you're going to go for it on fourth down, try to make this just a little bit easier on your offense trying to convert here to get in the end zone. But you can still get a first down here without scoring a touchdown.
And a timeout taken by South Carolina. We saw Arkansas last week, sluggish out of the gates with new quarterbacks. Ben Hicks from SMU transferred in. Nick Starkel, the Texas A&M transfer, got a little bit of work, but mainly it was Ben Hicks. We'll see how they handle that this weekend against the Rebels. Chambers hit as he throws. They're going to say incomplete pass on 4th down and 6. Chambers pops up but took a shot. 2:02 to go. Defense makes a stand. Back in a moment.
Summer is over and fall is here. It's time to get back to school, back to work, and back in the blind. Because opening day is coming, and off-season daydreams are about to become a reality. It's your season. So check out Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's Gear Up sale for the hunting brands you trust, like Cabela's, Redhead and True Timber Camo, and Blackout. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here.
Sling knows the biggest fans can't miss the best of college football on ESPN this season. You need every touchdown, tackle, and did you see that? That's why Sling gives you the ESPN coverage you love and more, so you can catch every can't-miss moment. From the first kickoff, all the way through the playoffs. The college football you love on ESPN for less. Get started for just $25 a month.
Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. You know what that show is. Thinking Out Loud. Presented by Regions Bank. Back for another season with Greg McElroy, Marcus Spears. They'll break down the weekend on the gridiron, talk about the hottest topics for the coming week. It's all right here on the SEC Network, and of course, you can always watch it on the ESPN app. Boy, Marcus was fired up this morning about his LSU Tigers, huh? Taking on Texas.
So that's going to be an interesting show, depending on what happens with this LSU Tigers on Monday.
That's the truth.
If he's a little down, we'll know why on the show.
They might be talking about South Carolina's prospects at quarterback, as we get to see DeCarrion Joyner now. He hands it off. Mon Denson takes that over the 30 to the 35. But DeCarrion Joyner, who was in the battle for the backup spot with Ryan Helinski, lost that battle, moved him to wide receiver, but now he's back as the backup quarterback, and a talented player. Was here last year, redshirted, ran the scout team basically. Took a couple of snaps in a game against Chattanooga last season, just 1 out of 2 through the air. But obviously he's going to play a ton of snaps, whether it's at quarterback or wide receiver this year.
And Dave, we talked about Brian Edwards and Tavion Feaster Tavion Feaster was Mr. South Carolina, but he was the same thing in 2017. Mr. South Carolina played a ton of football, put up great yards, over 3,400 total yards, and 52 TDs as a senior.
He finished just shy of 10,000 yards passing for his career.
But it's going to be fun to watch this offense now, because he's going to bring a different dynamic to it that defenses will have to prepare for. Knowing that they have another guy who can come in, who can throw it just as well as he can run it, it adds so much more to an offense. And I remember it's kind of similar to when I played with me and David Green. We forced teams to prepare for both of us, whether they knew, I was going to play or not. It made them prepare for it.
Coming near side. Keyshawn Toney, the true freshman tight end, making that reception. Gain of only about a yard. Tell you what, we watched the spring game yesterday in the football offices, and watching Joyner move and throw, you can tell that he has got a tremendous skill set.
He is talented, and I think a lot of South Carolina fans are about to find out just how talented this kid will be.
End of the third quarter. South Carolina has put up 51 points. It's the most for South Carolina under Will Muschamp, and there's still 15 minutes of football left to play. Head back to Columbia with us right after this. Talking about Mr. Footballs in the state of South Carolina, as DeCarrion Joyner, one of those, but there's the list that's been here. It started with Stephon Gilmore back in 2008, Lattimore, Clowney, Rowland, Feaster. Those guys went on to have some pretty good success. Oh, nice run by Mon Denson. Spins out of trouble, and he will win the foot race. 57 yards.
Mon Denson just said, add me to the backs that can go the distance. This move inside the trenches here. Watch this spin move, and then he shows the speed to run away from all the Charleston Southern defenders. Ooh, I see you, Mon Denson, trying to put on a show, saying he needs more carries as well.
Yeah, tough for him to find a spot behind Dowdle and Feaster, but
making a case.
Little Tommy with the point after. That is up, and it is good. Nice spin move, and then it's a 40-yard dash down the sideline. Denson crosses the tape first. 24 out of 30. Completed his first 12 passes today. Couple of touchdowns. Did have that interception, but I would say that is a highly successful debut for a young man that was playing high school football just a year ago. And of course, things next week get a little different as the Alabama defense will be in front of him. But nonetheless, you got to get started somewhere, and no doubt. And while it was a big day for Ryan, it was certainly a big day for his parents as well, Mark and Kim. And Dawn has found them in the stands.
I have found him an emotional day, too, for the Helinski family, sitting next to Mark, his dad, and Kim, his mom. Just kind of take me through this day and the beginning of this day and what the emotions were like for you guys coming into his first start.
I think we're all sad for Jake. It's tough to watch, senior leader go down. We're equally excited for Ryan to get his opportunity. He worked really hard to be here. And I think his biggest concern was just his ability to lead the team. So we're very happy for him and for the team, and a nice comeback win today.
I know you like to move around. You can't sit still. You get a little nervous. Got to keep doing things. What were your feelings right at kick?
I couldn't believe it when Ryan ran on the field. I said, "Let's go, Tyler!" And I caught myself a bit, and I stepped back and I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe I just yelled that." But I think they were both out there on the field today, right? It was Ryan and Tyler, and Tyler was his angel on the field. And I hope he's with them for the rest of the season and the next few seasons that he plays for South Carolina.
He had said on the sideline at some point in that first half, he had said to Jake, that long bomb was for my brother Tyler, because he loved the big bombs. Their relationship, how special was it?
Well, they were best friends. I mean, brothers are usually best friends, and they were football best friends too. And they just shared everything together and doted and loved on each other, and they loved football. So I know that Tyler would be so proud and so happy for his younger brother out here today.
Mark, I talked to you a little bit earlier this week, and you talked about how great this South Carolina fan base, the coaches, everybody here in Columbia has been to you guys. They've really embraced you. You made the decision when Ryan committed to South Carolina to move to Columbia. How has that been for you guys?
Moving's hard. When we say we moved, we sold our house, home, cars, stuff, and bet it all on South Carolina, and moved over to Irmo, Lake Murray area, and we've never looked back. And the people have been unbelievable. The coaches and administration have been terrific. But mostly, it's to me today was watching Ryan be happy, and when you're grinding every day for 8 months, that's really tough. It's important, it's necessary, it's part of the process. But watching him go out and be a little excited and be happy with his guys, that's the payoff. That's worth all of it.
I know for you guys, it is important to keep Tyler's memory alive, to be able to squash the stigma surrounding mental health, and you've done that through Helinski's Hope. Tell us a little bit about that organization and why it is so important to you guys at this point, Kim.
Well, I mean, we're trying to keep Tyler's memory alive and build on his legacy, and we realize that if our sweet son Tyler could pass without us knowing that there are so many people out there struggling with their mental illness, that we're just trying to help others to realize that it's okay to say you're not okay. And with Helinski's Hope, we're providing the mental wellness programs and the education to schools and student athletes. And just remember Tyler. Helinski'sHope.org. That's where you can find more information. Thank you guys so much for sharing your story with us, and congratulations on a great first start for Ryan.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate it.
Guys.
Thank you very much, Dawn. Appreciate the Helinski spending time with you, talking about what is such a tragic story to tell. It was January of 2018 that Tyler Helinski took his own life, and They are trying to move on as best they can without forgetting the memory and what he meant. And it's just can be so overwhelming. This whole thing is just so overwhelming. And I guess the good news out of this whole thing is to watch Ryan here perform at the level that he performed today. And you know he had to be feeling it, butterflies, everything you might feel before a game today, but he didn't show it.
And you can see the emotion and the pride that his parents spoke of right there when they're speaking with Don. It was just really good to see them able to speak about it. And then you talk about Hilinski, Ryan going out and playing the way he did, and every time he made a play, you can see him point to the sky and say, hey, this one was for my brother. So great opening day for him and his family to see good things happen for them.
Carry-on Joyner gets popped pretty good, but speaking of pop, Ryan Hilinski popped Charleston Southern early and often. Of course, gets some final hugs from his parents on the way into the stadium, and then scored his first touchdown on the ground, and then he went through the air.
Just a big-time day for him. We talked about the arm strength. We talked about the ability to move. This kid has all the tools to be special for South Carolina. It's a reason why he won the backup job and why this staff was comfortable with him stepping into this role, along with the rest of his teammates and the coaching staff saying this guy can get it done.
Boy, some nice moves from Kevin Harris. He's going to take it to the end zone. Kevin Harris, the freshman, scored one touchdown today. Now you can add another one.
Ryan still in the ball game, still excited for his fellow teammates. Everybody trying to get in on the act, but these backs are just showing the ability to make guys miss in space. Create a lane, create a space for them, and they can go the distance with it. All positivity that you like to see going into a game next week. They're going to need every weapon they have in the book to put up a good game versus Alabama.
45 yards from Kevin Harris as South Carolina has set a new school record for total offense on this run by Kevin Harris. They have put up 700 yards. Many of those yards off the right arm of Ryan Hilinski. He loves it. Dad loves it. It's all smiles here at Williams-Brice. Alshon Jeffrey with 127 yards receiving. Those guys could play a little bit.
Man.
South Carolina would end up winning the East, played in the SEC title game that year, but got smashed by Cam Newton and the Auburn Tigers 56-17. Remember all that stuff with Stephen Garcia before the bowl game? And
oh, yeah.
They just couldn't, it just did not work out. It was not a strong finish to what was a great moment. They lost title game to Auburn 56-17. Then they lost to Florida State in the Chick-fil-A Bowl 26-17. But nonetheless, those were the kind of the games that kind of propelled South Carolina to those double-digit win seasons under Coach Spurrier.
Those are the moments that people remember, especially at home, and you got a chance to beat the #1 team in the country. That goes a long way.
Aldridge's pass is incomplete.
But while they certainly were garnering headlines around the country, winning some big, important ball games, things have not gone well of late here at South Carolina. A decent season last year that just ended on that sour note, the shutout loss to Virginia. Pass is caught. Catch is made by Jaquan Williams. That'll be a first down. Will Muschamp trying to get him back on track. And you see what happened in 2011 through 13 under Coach Spurrier. They went on an incredible run. 33 of 39 were victories, including those 3 bowl wins. But just a game under 500 since. Stevens with that catch.
And I think Coach Muschamp has gone into the realm of just trying to build his program to a spot where he wants it, trying to recruit the players that he wants. I think finally, here in year 4, he's starting to get the type of players he wants at key positions, the guys that fit the things they do on both sides of the ball. And they got a chance this season with the schedule they have to make some noise if they can finish it off. But this is a unit that a program that expects to be competing for titles each and every year, and Coach Muschamp's believe that.
Ross Malmgren, the true freshman quarterback, slinging it around the field as he gets some early work this season. South Carolina, here's what's coming up. Alabama, then it's at Missouri. Then you got Kentucky, then you're at Georgia, at home versus Florida, at Tennessee, then here against Vanderbilt, and they'll wrap it up, of course, at Texas A&M and Clemson coming to Williams-Brice. There are many people out there that believe that is the toughest schedule in the country.
I think it would be. You think about how you finish, you think about what happens in the middle of that schedule. You're going to need all hands on deck with this schedule, and it's even more important this ball game headed into that stretch run that they have, that Ryan Holinsky is confident and feeling good about where they go. But you see it, their second toughest schedule in the FBS. And they know they got their hands full.
How about the draw, though, that they pull out of the West, right? You got to play two West teams, and your draw is Alabama and A&M.
Yeah, and A&M being on the rise. Jimbo's got Texas A&M playing well. They got a big ball game today.
You know what? Couldn't have been the year where they get Arkansas and Ole Miss. You know what I'm saying?
That's what they would have. That's what they probably would have thought was a good time.
Here's a look at the ranked opponents: 1, 2, and 3, and then you got 11 and 12.
And here's the thing about that schedule right there. Those opponents, and you look at defenses, all those are top 30 defenses that come out. They have speed on the edge. They come after you defensively. You're going to have a young quarterback, but the one thing you can depend on is you got a run game. You got some playmakers on the outside. That's why I think it was very important. You got a guy like Brian Edwards going today with Ryan Holinsky. They need that with that stretch of games they're going to be in.
Texas A&M with a shot tonight against #1 Clemson, or this afternoon, I should say. That game getting underway in about a half hour. It's caught underneath, not much of a gain by Chapman. With that, let's get an update. Let's go to the studio.
All right, thank you, Dave Neal. We've got about an hour until we've got Alabama, New Mexico State. Now, Terry Saban, Coach Saban's wife, made him run on the treadmill for 20 minutes this week after he got an unsportsmanlike penalty last week in the game. He looks in shape, Dave Neal. Kind of like you right now, my man.
Thank you, Peter. But
Peter, that's spot on, my man. That is so spot on.
I'm not
going to let him get out of that. He does look very stealthy up here now.
Oh, nice catch on the sideline, down inside the 5-yard line. That'll be obviously a first down after a 32-yard pickup as Williams makes that sweet catch.
But the hat is thrown, Dave. I think he stepped out of bounds over here. With that being said, I don't think he can. You see right at the top of your screen, get pushed out of bounds. Can't be the first one to touch the football coming back in.
First and goal inside the 5, down to the 4-yard line. Three-yard pickup. Charleston Southern trying to end this one on a positive note, just 3 points on the board. Marcus Melvin, the sophomore running back, getting some work. They're running, if they brought 75 guys with them, they're going to play all 75 today.
Charleston Southern team hasn't really fared well when they came and played in SEC. 2017 played Mississippi State. Lost 49-0 last year versus Florida. And we put up 6 points.
Nice catch again from Jaquan Williams. How about the nice drive from Ross Malmgren, the true freshman quarterback out of Ackworth, Georgia, with a touchdown pass. And he's all smiles as he heads to the bench.
He's more to him. These are quality reps that they can build on and put on tape. And you want to still see guys competing if you're Charleston Southern. And just a well-thrown football to that back shoulder. Defensive back has his head turned. Receiver does a great job of adjusting to the football. Nice throw and catch.
Malmgren threw for 7,300 yards and 70 touchdown passes during his high school career at North Paulding High School. Going after is up and good. The Buccaneers, unranked opponents, are at 83, an NCAA record. Florida won 73 from 1990 through 2000, but this run by Alabama has been unprecedented. Kevin Harris breaking some tackles. Harris breaks another tackle. Touchdown for the freshman. 75 yards.
I don't know if it's just his size, his speed, or he has something really slick on his pass. 6 rushes for 147 yards. That run was stupid, Dave. He ran through 19 tackles. I'm exaggerating, but that was insane right there.
Wow. And the total offense record for South Carolina has now been pushed up to 775, shattering the old mark, 679 against Louisiana Tech back in 1996. Last 2 rushes by Kevin Harris, 120 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Average going to be really nice.
'71 looking for 72. Little Tommy to attempt the point after. One more look at Kevin Harris, who has 3 rushing touchdowns today.
Charleston Southern has 16 missed tackles on the day. The number went up after this one. We just saw 3 missed tackles there, and this last one was probably the most impressive, to run through the last tackler. Strong, physical, the speed coming right at you in your living room right here. High knee drive, everything you want out of a running back, going the entire distance. And guess who's still into it? Guess who's still active and having a good time? Ryan Holinsky. This has been an excellent day for the South Carolina offense and their backs.
493 yards rushing today for South Carolina. It is a new school record. They just surpassed the 1937 team, who put up 474 against Presbyterian.
They probably thought that would never be broken, right?
Not till today.
Wow.
Man, oh man.
For Charleston Southern, they'll start at the 25-yard line.
Will Muschamp wanted his team to put their foot on the gas and do not pick it up. And that is what they have done today with 775 yards of offense. They've given up some here in the second half to Charleston Southern. They've held the Buccaneers to 64 on the ground, 186 through the air. There'll be a lot of people talking about Ryan Holinsky. And one thing we need to mention is that he's not been made as a true freshman. They don't allow their freshmen to talk to members of the media, which has got to help him take some of that pressure off, having to answer questions when you're talking about answering questions for the team, for other players, about this guy, that guy. That's got to be tough to do. And he has to, you know, because of the way the system is set up here at South Carolina, he doesn't have to mess with that.
And it gives him the opportunity just to focus on what he needs to focus on as a true freshman, is making sure he's smart, he's doing the right things with the football, and he's just getting the game plan down. That's most important to him, and not having to talk to the media is a big deal. Trust me, especially as a young guy, not worrying about how to answer questions and how things are construed and having to answer things multiple times. And you see he gets the handshake from the head man, Will Muschamp, there for a job well done on his day. Be a lot of positive things coming out of this film. I know offensive coordinator Brian McClendon and his staff will be excited to see the amount of things that they can really talk about this week.
You know, with Jake, you had basically your entire offensive package put in with Jake, such a veteran. And started 33 games. But with Ryan, we asked him yesterday, and Coach McClendon told us that they would be lucky to have half of that in.
Yeah, and it's probably the most, I would say probably the best thing for him, because you don't want to overload his mind and have him out there overthinking things. You want him to go out and be able to play fast and understand what he's doing and what's he's most comfortable at. So not giving him the whole gamut of the playbook is just smart on their behalf. Give this South Carolina defense a lot of credit too today. We talked about the 18 missed tackles they had last week. Coach Robinson, the defensive coordinator, will be excited. They only have 2 missed tackles on today. Something to build on going into the big game next week versus Alabama.
That'll probably be the final play of this one. And South Carolina had to wait a week to get that nasty taste out of their mouth from the disappointing loss to North Carolina last week. And they came in with a true freshman quarterback and put up 72 points. Food will taste a little bit better tonight at dinner, I think.
Food will taste really well. They sit back and watch some of their counterparts go at it. Fun day for South Carolina and this team.
Well, the Ryan Holinsky era is officially underway as the Gamecocks win game number 1 of 2019. They are now 1-1. Charleston Southern goes to 0-2 on the season, and for them, they'll get to go back home, that place they have not been for a week. I'm sure they're excited to get back in their own beds, and they can start to focus on Big South football and conference play at the FCS level. But big day for Ryan Holinsky in this offense. And DJ, I guess we've talked a lot about Ryan Holinsky, but I have to say this: the guys that Coach Munchamp, Coach McClendon, Coach Robinson, the defensive coordinator, called out, our playmakers, the guys that we need, our best players need to be our best players. Yeah, they were today.
And they showed up. You talk about Brian Edwards being an impact player. On defense, T.J. Bronson being around the football, not having all the missed tackles. But most importantly, the guys around Ryan Holinsky showed up. The offensive line reshuffled a lot of guys up front. They did a great job of protecting him for one, but then Ryan Holinsky making the right decisions to get it to those playmakers we talked about.
All right, let's go downstairs to Dawn, who has Coach Muschamp.
Yeah, let's ask the head coach about his true freshman in his first start. 24 for 30, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns. What stood out to you the most about his performance?
Well, I think more than anything, just managing the offense, the things we were able to call. We didn't have a lot of procedure issues. There was no issues as far as substitution and snap count and things like that. So really proud of his effort, but we played really well around him. And obviously Charleston Southern was overmatched with us today.
You made some changes on that offensive line, ended up rushing for 493 yards in this one. What did you like about the changes that were made on that line?
Well, we'll find out a lot more about our line next week, and just be realistic. But I do like the changes we made. We got more girth inside and be able to not have as less penetration as we've had before.
You talk about next week, Alabama comes to town. What do you pull from this one and tell your guys, hey, this is what we need to carry over?
Improving every week. Preparation's got to be key for us, and I liked our mental edge better this week.
Thank you, Coach. Congrats.
Thank y'all.
Well, South Carolina needed a win, and they got one in fine fashion. 72 points on the board, school record for total offense. They finished with 775 yards, and they do it with a couple of freshman quarterbacks running the show. Future looks bright for that young man, Ryan Holinsky. Final score this afternoon, 72-10. South Carolina wins. Don't forget, coming up next here on the SEC Network, it's SEC Now, followed by New Mexico State and second-ranked Alabama. So for DJ and Dawn, I'm Dave Neal saying so long from Columbia.